advocate of the High Court. He still is for the last 26 years. Probably you are there, you're asking what's the difference between High Court, Court of Appeal. I mean, I know he'll be able to shed light. He's a certified public secretary. You're seated there and wondering, certified public secretary. So the secretary Nadani is a certification called certified public secretary. Again, will shed more light. The reason why we are doing this and I'm asking him to shed light so that one or two, I'm just our brother here also is a student in the law. So some of these things you get to know so that you know, okay, so I can also do this, I can also pursue this, and so forth. So he's offered legal counsel for many of us, including the church. And again, he's also a family man, husband to one wife, and you also have children who happen to be youth, just like you, okay, your age. So as he stands here, he stands also as a father. Now listen to his hobbies. One of his hobbies is writing. And indeed he's done many scripts in terms of writing, director of Christian plays, and of late he's developed another hobby of farming. So it's my pleasure to welcome Advocate Senior Counsel Joel Obura to give him a coffee as he comes to take us through from here. Let's clap as youths. Na nguvu kidogo. Karibu sana. So the topic is the Sexual Offences Act in terms of the legal aspect, but of course we pray that the Holy Spirit will also guide him. I will request Elder Dominic, now that he has spotted him, to pray for the session, and then we can start. Let us pray. To the matters that is going to discuss, and all the glory and honor will come back to Jesus. Pray.
Habari zenu. Come on. I know we've not had lunch, lakini habari zenu. Kwani mnafikiri mimi nimekula? You know, when the person welcomes you, says the topic is Sexual Offences Act, and stop at the word sexual, and then he says, I hope the Holy Spirit will guide him. You say, okay. But I'm happy to be here. I actually was looking forward to this session. It's not a session that we just decided out of the blues. We have a lot of people in jail.
There's a lot that we can say by way. Is on child abuse. The other thing is there are emerging challenges like pornography, social media, and sometimes these go together. Every other day, as Africans, we had our traditional values. There were things which were totally unheard of. For example, it was unheard of for a man my age, or even your age, by the way, to be caught with a child, say of 9 years. You understand? And the African system had ways of punishing that. You could either be killed, you could be banished, sent away from the village, told never step here again. So many things could happen. We had our ways of dealing with incest, relations between relatives, you see? And people feared. People knew, here, I cannot cross this. Unfortunately, under the guise of trying to be modern, these traditional values no longer hold. So the government had to step in. Let's move on. Now, lastly, sexually transmitted infections. This is a big problem. The other day they were talking of super gonorrhea. We have HIV, we have different kinds of sexually transmitted diseases. And some of them are being spread knowingly and willingly. You see? I see some of you cannot be bold to look at me in the face now. But I'm a father, so let me educate you. All right? So those are the reasons, some of the reasons which made the government to come up with this act of parliament. Okay? Let's move on. Now, in our laws, there is something that we call the age of criminal responsibility. Can anybody guess what is criminal responsibility? Anyone? You want to try? Yes. He says, when you can be accountable for your deeds. Anyone else? He's right. When we talk of criminal, you know what it is to be responsible? If I say, I'll make you responsible over this chair, it means if I come and find the chair missing, then you are supposed to tell me where it is, isn't it? Are we together? Yeah, at least say something to encourage me, eh? Not that it matters. So, there is an age that the law has established that as long as you are that age, you can be arrested and taken to court. There's nothing like telling us you are still young. Okay? So what is the age of criminal responsibility? It is the age at which someone is deemed to possess an understanding of what he's doing and deemed to be responsible for any such acts and omissions which are criminal in nature. The age at which the law deems that you understand what you are doing, and two, that you are responsible. It can be for doing something or failing to do something. Can you give me an example when you can be arrested for failing to do something? Anyone? Generally speaking, when can you be arrested for, we call it an omission, for omitting, yes? Failing to? Failing to file your tax returns, not your tax returns. Or even failing to tie a seatbelt. Isn't it? Yeah. If you fail to tie a seatbelt, you can be arrested and charged in court. Sindio? Yeah. So that one, you're not being arrested for doing something, but it's for failing to do something. We call it an omission. Okay? So, under that section, 221 of the Children Act, a person under the age of 12 shall not be criminally responsible for any act or omission. What does that mean? It is not the age of 12. It is under. You see, under is underlined there, which means 0 to 11. The moment you turn 12, you can be subjected to the court. So those of you, is anybody here who is under 12? So it means if you misbehave here, the police will come and arrest you. You cannot escape. Oh, come on. We have the young girl at the back who is under 12. Okay? So bear in mind that whatever you do, it doesn't matter. As long as you are 12 and above, the government will come for you. If you're caught smoking bang, the government will come for you. And you'll be taken to court. Nobody will say that you're still young. So that's not an excuse. Let's move on. If you are under the age of 14, the court must be satisfied that you are capable of differentiating between right and wrong. So don't say, me, I'm above 12, but below the age of 14. It will be very easy to prove that you are able to understand what you are doing. All right? Let's move on. Now, this act is called Sexual Offences act. What is an offense? Hey, look at me. I know what is on the screen may be juicy, but look at me, we'll get there. What is an offense in this context? An offense in this context is what you may call a crime, a wrong which is punishable under the law. We call them offenses. All right? So, let's get down to the offenses. The offenses which the law, one of them is rape. And I say this because in your youth, it is the time when your hormones are really charging. And you feel that you want to show the world what you are made of, you know? But there is a consequence, all right? Remember today, Pastor Obanya was telling us about presenting our bodies as living sacrifices. You understand? So, there is an offense called rape. And the definition is there. Whoever intentionally and unlawfully commits an act which causes penetration with genital organs without consent or consent obtained by force, threats, or intimidation. I know you're looking at me so innocently, but you know these things. Yeah? So when you do that, yeah, you force somebody into a sexual relation by force, by threat, by intimidation. Intimidation can be by blackmail. If you don't comply, we are going to do this. I'm going to take you to the pastor. If you don't comply, I'm going to post you on social media. Okay? So, if you are arrested, my friend, it is so bad. You will be jailed for not less than 10 years. You see, most law says up to, but this one says the starting sentence is 10 years in prison. So, how old are you today? He's 20. If we give him 10 years today, he will come out when he's 30. You know? And by the time you come out at 30, all your age mates have gone far. You understand? Yeah. So, that is what is called rape. And it can be enhanced to life imprisonment. So starting point is 10 years. But the court can say, no, you are going in for life. Ladies and gentlemen, be careful. Do not participate in anything like that. You'll be ruining your very promising future. Are we together? Are we together? There is attempted rape, which is an attempt of that definition. The minimum sentence is 5 years, minimum, but may be enhanced to life. Okay? You cannot go around saying, oh, I didn't know what I was doing, oh, what. No, the law will come for you. Let's move on. We have what is called sexual assault. Now, you will look at that. It talks of penetration of the genital organs of another person with any part of the body or object, or manipulates any part of the body. I want to tell you the difference. In the case of rape, we are talking of you using your organs on somebody. But in the case of sexual assault, it can be using any other equipment. You manhandle somebody because you think that so-and-so is unfair, you want to teach him or her a lesson. You go with maybe a bottle, you want to put it in the private parts, and you say, leo tumemfundisha adabu. It is happening. There are people in jail for it. And it is actually stupid to do that. All right? So, the sentence is not less than 10 years imprisonment. The law is very harsh. Not less than 10 years. So don't dare try that. Please, don't. It can also be done on a man by a lady. So don't think that it's only ladies. No. Even men, we have cases where because of differences, I'm sorry, I see my senior leaving. You know, Mama Mumbi is a very senior advocate. You people just don't know. But you are at liberty, senior. You know, the legal profession seniority is something that is really considered very highly. All right? So, what happens is this. Some of these offenses, they're as a result of peer pressure. You understand? Nyinyi vijana wa huku mmetudharau sana, tutawafundisha adabu. You understand? Ama huyu msichana anaringa sana, tutamfundisha adabu. That is what you risk. It is not your job to fundisha anybody adabu. You see? The law will come for you. And even if your parents come for me, we will not be able to help you. So the best thing is to avoid. You understand? Yes. Those who want to gather you for evil, please avoid them. The consequences are dire. When you stand there, it will not be, si mimi peke yangu. The sentence will be to you individually. You understand? So that is something you must be awake to. Where there is a compelled or induced indecent act, it comes to 5 years. We look at what is an indecent act. Let's get on. Now, we've just talked of induced or compelled. What is an indecent act? An indecent act is any unlawful and intentional act which causes, number one, any contact between any part of the body of a person with the genital organs, breast and buttocks of another. I'm glad you people don't know what those parts are. But does not include an act that causes penetration. Now, the case is this. When you go to the ferry, sometimes in the public transport, we have people who are very depraved, okay? Mmepanda basi ama nini, and because of the pressure, you know when you hold that chuma in the bus, and there you are just trying to do your funny things on the lady in front of you. Yeah? That is an offense. We've had instances of people at the ferry. Because of the msongamano, you find a man is concentrating on the lady's lower part, yeah, trying to misbehave. It is an offense. It is called an indecent act, okay? So avoid such. Avoid such. Self-control, you know? You will not die because you did not react to what is before you. Sawa sawa? Yes, you will not die. The other definition of indecent act is exposure or display of any pornographic material to any person against his or her will. You know, I'm amazed that nowadays you hear that somebody has sent nudes. That is pornographic material. What happened to what we used to call private parts? The word private means it is not meant to be shared with anybody outside. Are we together? Yes. Maintain your dignity. Ladies, stop sharing nudes. It is morally wrong. The internet does not forget. A time will come when that will play against you. You understand? Yes. When now you want to settle down in marriage and you've got a nice guy, God-fearing, everything you'd dream of, then suddenly the internet plays out what you had shared. Okay? Men, there is nothing masculine about showing us your private parts. Nothing. You know, we need to start developing this culture where we reason with the neck going up. Are we together? We don't reason with the waist going down or the neck going down in the case of ladies. That does not determine who you are. And that does not determine who your boss is or the person you are dealing with is. You understand? The last time I checked, we were using our heads to think. Has it changed? Has it changed? We don't use any other part to think. It is only the head. All right? So don't look at somebody or look down on somebody because of what is down from the neck going below. So those are two definitions of what an indecent act is. So if you do any of those things, then you are breaching the law. All right? Unlawfully and unintentionally. Don't think that somebody will love you because you shared nudes with them. No. Please, be private. Are we together? We will respect you when you are private. We will highly esteem you. Let's move on. So, if you commit any of those two acts with a child, you go in for 10 years. Okay? If you do it with an adult, it's up to 5 years or a fine of 50,000 or both. Children are really protected by the law. Don't take advantage of somebody because you know that's a child, the child will not resist. That includes taking photos of children nude and then you are sharing. That is wrong. Can our minds be renewed? We come out of these things that we see on the internet. You understand? You are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a peculiar people. So you don't have to do what the world is doing. Are we together? Yeah. I think I'm so boring that my friend there is catching 40 winks. Huh? Let's move on. Then we also have another offense called intentionally committing rape, indecent act with another within the view of a family member, child, or a person with mental disabilities. We have people who are depraved. Rape is normally committed in forceful circumstances, but there are people who then, they decide to, just to hurt somebody's feelings, you do it in the presence of the husband. You do it in the presence of a child or of a family member. The law has something good for you there. It is called not less than 10 years imprisonment. You understand? Yeah. Are we together? I don't just want to speak for the sake of speaking. I want you to have an understanding that avoid these things. There is a reason why God created Adam and Eve and even went ahead when he was chasing them. He didn't chase them naked. The Bible says he made for them garments out of animal skin. You remember that? Yeah. He made them garments out of animal skin and sent them away. Why? Not everything is for display. Tunaelewana? Are we together? I think I was told that it is the Kikuyus who have a saying that unaona hii nywele, that not every hair is shaven in public. Is that too deep for you to understand? Let's move on. Now this one is very serious. It's called defilement. Defilement, any person who commits an act which causes penetration with a child is guilty of defilement. Who is a child in the eyes of the law? Anyone? If you are below the age of 18, we consider you to be a child. In fact, the law calls you an infant. I don't know how many infants we have here, but any sexual act with a child is not rape. When you see rape, you know the person is above 18. So the law protects the adults, the law protects the children. Now with children it is worse. If you commit such an act with a child aged 11 years or less, you go in for life. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. In fact, on Friday, there was something in the Court of Appeal. A man was convicted of defiling a 9-year-old child. The court jailed him for 26 years. He appealed to the High Court, and the High Court said no, that 26 years was okay. He was not happy. No, sorry. He appealed first of all to the High Court, and the High Court said 26 years is okay. He was not happy, went to the Court of Appeal. The Court of Appeal said 26 years is wrong. The law says it should be life imprisonment. So he was given life imprisonment. Yeah. For those of you who might be interested, you can link up with me. I'll send you the judgment on WhatsApp. So from 26 years now, he's been jailed for life imprisonment. Yeah. But what is the bottom line? The bottom line is he committed the offense. The bottom line is the law gives what the sentence is. That is what it is. So if you are tired of paying your taxes and you want to go to a tax-free life for the rest of your life, there it is. If it is committed with a child aged between 12 and 15 years, you get not less than 20 years. And sometimes I'm pained because I've had cases where parents come to me. Our boy was in Form 2. He got involved with a girl. He has been jailed for 20 years. Now you look at the boy, he's probably 14 years. He's been given 20 years, which means he'll go in and come out when he's 34 years with the knowledge of Form 2. Will that help him? It will not. So what is the solution? Avoid these things. You understand? Avoid these things. The consequences are so dire. You do it in secret, you think you agreed, but when the law comes for you, nobody will understand. Are we together? Yeah. So I'm telling you things I've seen. I'm not just telling you theory. When you go to see them, as a parent, you even feel the pinch. You look at him, you say, this is the age of my son. What will I do? You know, as a father, you feel it. You understand? But take responsibility. Between the age of 16 and 18, it's not less than 18 years imprisonment. If you're found guilty, that means you cannot be jailed for 1 year. The minimum will be 18 years. Okay? Now, before we move on, I want you to take these things very seriously. And I want to tell you of a sad case that I experienced in my days as chair of the bar. Sio ati mimi huenda kwa bar. The bar refers to the advocates. Okay? We are members of the bar. A parent walked in to my office, somebody I didn't know. She just asked me, are you the chairman? Yes. And then she began crying. My friend, if a stranger walks to you and starts crying, that's when you'll realize that 2 minutes can be like 2 hours. Because you don't know what you've done. So the story goes like this. The daughter was in one of the secondary schools around, I won't name. She was in Form 2. She was yellow, and I have nothing against yellow. But you know what I mean for purposes of my illustration. So they went for sports. Some of these Warabu boys came and told her, you are so beautiful, we organize a beauty pageant, you'll get 5,000. So what is the rule? We'll sneak you out. Okay? So they sneaked her out. They went for the pageant. It was in Malindi. And while they were there, she won. And she got 5,000. Now, those of you who are in Form 2, if you're given 5,000 today, sijasema wale watu wa kuinama. I'm a parent to comrades, so I know some of those terms. Yeah, but you see, even if you give a university student 5,000 today, that's a lot of money, isn't it? Yeah, so she got excited. And of course, they knew what they wanted. So what did they do? They told her, now, you'll spend with us, we'll take you back to school tomorrow. That night, there was a raid by the anti-narcotics police. If you don't know, narcotic refers to drugs. And because the girl was new in the house, she didn't even know where to run to. The other boys know the place. They ran out. This girl was arrested. Cocaine and heroin was found in the premises. She was beaten, taken to court and told, ukienda huko ukatae, you'll come back here and we'll beat you again. So she went and she pleaded guilty. She accepted that she had been found in possession. Was she in possession? She wasn't. You understand? But because she had been beaten, and because she didn't have the knowledge, she accepted. Now, the law says, when you accept, the minimum sentence is 20 years. The magistrate had no option. Form 2 girl jailed for 20 years. The mother does not know. So she's brought to Shimolatewa prison. One of the elderly wardens there called her mom and tell her, I'm here with your daughter. She has been jailed for 20 years. And the lady dismissed. She said, you're a con man. My daughter is in school. She calls the school says, the headmistress says, no, she's in class. So after a few minutes, the headmistress says, I'm sorry, I'm told she sneaked out of school on Saturday. She's not in class. Look at that scenario. Your parent has sent you to school. Na kama mchezo, you already have 20 years. You understand? Isn't your life ruined? Yes? Yeah, or your life is now built. So your life is ruined. Those are the things we are saying avoid. The law is so stringent. What it provides is less than. Okay? Not less than, sorry, not less than. You understand? So the starting point will be that. Okay? So the point I'm making here is, your hormones is not an excuse for you to break the law, okay? The fact that your friends are doing it is not an excuse for you to break the law. And sometimes we get a lot of exaggerations. Like now, for those of you on midterm break, when you go back, there are guys who will regale you with tales of how they were able to conquer some ladies or to conquer some boys, and most of them are just exaggerated. No one has ever died for not having those tales. You understand? Yeah. So self-control. Zip up. I'm looking at you in the eyes and telling you, zip up. You understand? Zip up. We've done it before. We are not made of metal. You can also do it. All right? Let no one cheat you that you are not beautiful because you are refusing to zip down. You see? No. In fact, you are more beautiful. Tuendelee. Now, this one is very worrying. There is something we call gang rape. Under the law, a gang is 2 or more persons. So forget about the definitions in English, okay? Under the law, as long as you are 2 or more, and you are involved in rape, and we had looked at where it's rape. So where 2 or more persons commit rape or defilement, or is in the company of others who commit the offense. Now that is very important. I think Elder Obanyi was saying today, that's why I'm telling you, you'd think we were talking. He said that it is very important to be where God wants you to be. And he also said you cannot evangelize in a club. You remember him saying those things? Thank God you are not dozing. And he said, let us be careful to walk diligently. Now here is a perfect example. You're walking with somebody, and he meets a girl, and he forces himself on the girl, okay? He commits the offense of rape, but you didn't take part. You are just with him. My friend, you cannot escape. You are also deemed to be part of it. Are we together? You are also deemed to be part of it. That's why we are saying, is in the company of others who commit the offense. So the starting point here is, avoid the company of such people. You understand? And it cuts through all the offenses. If I'm smoking bang, and you are seated next to me chatting me up, and the police come, and you say, no, mi sikuwa navuta hata hawakunipata na kitu. My friend, you are going. You are going in. You are part of it. The Lord deems you to be part of it. All right? So avoid keeping such kind of company. Are we together? You like going out in the evening and sitting there with the boys who, when girls pass, they hiss at them. You know how to hiss? You know? And you know, if I speak for the men, because I'm a man, I've been a boy, been there, done that, we have this habit of, you want to move with the flow. You want to be seen as one of the, hata mimi ni mwanaume. So what happens, when a lady comes from this way, you start by escorting her with your eyes. So all of you, all the heads are going that way. Like some sort of, and in the process, something is happening in the mind. Evil is being manufactured. You understand? You're not seeing a woman of God. So that's what we are trying to tell you. Stop it. Sawa sawa. It is possible to stop it. It is not something that is impossible, because if you don't stop it, the law is very clear. Okay? So that time when they are hissing at someone, and nowadays even girls do it, they are hissing at that man passing, and it leads to something else. When that person who did it is arrested, you who was in the company of that person will not escape. Sawa sawa. So don't come and say, they are accusing us of rape, lakini mimi ni vile nilikuwa tu hapo, lakini sikufanya chochote. It is there. Is in the company of others who commit the offense. So you must choose your company and your friends very wisely. Sawa sawa. There is nothing heroic about committing an offense. You know, you don't look like a man because you are committing an offense. You understand? So or you don't look like you're the real woman because you can do ABCD, no. Then, promoting of sexual offenses with a child. Children are protected. And remember, I told you, if you're below 18, you are a child. Okay? Any person who manufactures or distributes any articles that promotes or is intended to promote sexual offense with a child, or supplies or displays to a child any article to be used in the performance of sexual act with the intention of encouraging the child to perform sexual act, you get not less than 5 years. And if it is an institution, 500,000. I want to explain this. Out here nowadays, we have so many things. On your phone, your classmate sends you a clip showing a child engaged in an act of sex, or even dancing suggestively. Okay? The so-called sex toys. My friend, if you are found with them, the government has a gift for you of 5 years, not less than 5 years. You understand? It doesn't matter. You cannot tell us that I'm not the one who generated. Mimi nilikuwa tu nayo kwa simu. No. If anybody shares that with you, delete immediately. Don't circulate it. Now, if you operate a cyber, at when you unatoa copies of those photos you want to circulate, the law will come for you. And let me tell you, it is worse than that. I think sometime in the year 2008, the Americans deported some people. You know, a full plane came back with Kenyans who were not wanted there. But you know, ndege ya Muamerikani hairudi bure. They went round the country arresting everybody who had accessed those sites which show child sex. Do you know what I'm talking about? I'm talking Greek. The websites, what you call the pornographic websites, which show sexual acts with children. They arrested all of them and took them to the US quietly. And they were charged there. So one thing about social media, which you think you can use, is that it's actually exposing you. Are we together? So be very careful, avoid such. Let's move on. Now, child trafficking. If you intentionally, knowingly, you make or organize any travel arrangement on behalf of a child or for a child within Kenya or outside, with the intention of facilitating the commission of any sexual offense against the child, irrespective of whether the offense is committed or not. Let me explain that. You decide that you have a brother who is in Uganda, and there is this girl at home whose parents are not there. So you want to make arrangements for that girl to go and become a wife to that person. You are committing an offense. Because a child is not able to give consent. You understand? Remember, I told you when we were talking of defilement about children, one of the things that has put many people in jail is you say tulikubaliana. Anybody who is below the age of 18 cannot give consent to anything. Are we together? And we've seen even teachers in jail because of that. So if you're below the age of 18, stop getting involved in these things. What you are doing is an offense. The law is coming for you. You are not capable of saying yes. No. Wait for your time. That time will come. Concentrate on what is important, which is your education and your future. You understand? Don't allow an adult to ruin you, to finish you. He's already succeeded. Why do you want him to now spoil you? So it says, if you make any arrangements, knowing that that child is going to be used for such things, whether the offense is committed or not, you see how tight the law is. You've put him on a bus to Kampala, he has been arrested at the border, and then you say, lakini hakuna kitu ilifanywa. No. The law looks at what was your intention. Are we together? Yes. So children must be protected. Then whoever supplies, recruits, transports, transfers, or receives a child for purpose of commission. Now this is very important. Who is the supplier? Ati kuna mtu nyumbani atakutafutia msichana, utapata msichana mzuri. Yeah, understand you call them kienyeji. There is the person who recruits. Kila mahali yeye anatembea akiuliza, kuna msichana hapa, nitakutafutia kazi. Yeah? Then the person who transports. Yeye ndiye ametumwa aende akamleta. Okay? Harbors or receives a child. Whether you do it here or whether you do it outside Kenya, the law will come for you. And you know that this child is not coming to work. This child is coming under the guise of being a maid, but is going to be in a brothel somewhere. Is going to be, the law says, you are liable to not less than 10 years imprisonment. Okay? Those who recruit child brides, if you hear somebody telling you that I'll look for you a girl, a nice girl from the village, I think the first thing is run. Run. I think the first person you should run to is Pastor Mami. I know I'm putting her under, but run to her. She'll give you some words of wisdom. You understand? Huwa itafutu hivyo. Mother will tell you. Because we have so many cases of an auntie sending you a bride. And that bride, if you look at it, it's a child. Probably stopped school in class 8. Now they feel that this one cannot learn anymore. So what do? Make her a wife. That is wrong. You are breaking the law. And if you are here and you've already done that, please let that lady go. You know, like Boko Haram. You've heard of the Boko Haram in Nigeria? Yeah? What were the parents telling the Boko Haram? Bring back our girls. Please, take back that girl. You are committing an offense. Yeah? So, the Lord will come for you, but before the Lord does, the law will also come for you. Okay? You are what the law says, what we call pedophiles. People who enjoy having sexual relations with children because, one, they think they are superior. You see, you're just trying to induce the child. So it's not love. You understand? So those who recruit child brides, beware. There are other laws also under the Children Act and under the Penal Act which talk of sexual exploitation of children. Let's move on. Now, there is this thing called child prostitution. Child prostitution is where you knowingly permit a child to remain in any premises for purposes of causing the child to be sexually abused or to participate in any form of sexual activity. We have this thing that you give your room to your friend. Unampa keja. See, these are realities. It is an offense. It is an offense. These are realities. I notice most of you are smiling, but you can't look at me. But these are realities, and we have to teach you. Okay? Because if we don't, who will? The law is against it. Okay? Sometimes you're working in a bar, and you go there with your child, your younger sister, and you allow the person to remain there where she can be molested or he can be molested. That is an offense. Okay? Getting a child, bringing other people's children to work in a bar, that is an offense. Are we together? Yes. Inducing a child for sexual activity by media or other adverts. You're working as a house help. But what you do is when the boss is not there, you go to pornographic sites and you share with the child. What are you trying to do? That is an offense. You know? That is an offense. You can't just share any garbage with the child. That is wrong. And the moment there is a complaint, you go in. And we've even had cases, I think recently, in Shanzu. You know, in Mombasa, we have a court that deals only with sexual and gender-based violence. So we had a case of a maid who was actually, I think, sentenced to 10 years or thereabout. And her offense was that she was actually involved in a sexual act with a child, number one, which is wrong. And she was even filming it and posting it online. Is that what you'd want for your daughter? If you have a daughter tomorrow and you have a worker, would you want that to happen to your daughter? You have no opinion, eh? Would you want that to happen? So don't do it. Sawa sawa. Let's move on. Let's move on. If you take advantage of your influence or relationship to a child to procure the child for sexual activity, there are people that we trust, okay? If you are a teacher, the children will trust you. Sini kweli? If you are a pastor, the children will trust you. Sini kweli? If you are a parent or a step parent, and I want to emphasize this thing of step parent, because we see a lot of cases in court where a step parent gets sexually involved with the child. It is wrong. If you are in that position of trust, you know, you are the favorite uncle, and it is good to be a good uncle. Yeah? My nephews and nieces get so excited when they see me. And even if I tell them, let's go to the moon, they will believe me. So why do you want to betray that trust? So if you take advantage of that influence, the law is coming for you. Okay? If you threaten a child with violence, ukisema nitakuua, the law is coming for you. Okay? And if you have premises, back to the Keja story, you have premises which you know are being used for some of these activities. You are not there. Somebody called you and told you, nataka Keja, and you tell him, chukua funguo kwa caretaker. My friend, the moment those two are arrested, you are also part of them. You cannot escape. Or you have a car, you give it out, or boda boda, amekuambia mahali anaenda, he's going to pick some girl, or she's going to pick some young boy. My friend, you cannot escape. So you see, the law is all encompassing. You understand? So this thing of saying, mimi sikuwa, you cannot escape. Because the law looks at some crimes are not just committed by one act. Some crimes are committed through a chain of activities. For example, if I want to break into the church and I collude with the watchman to leave the door open, okay, when the door is supposed to be locked. So he conveniently goes to the toilet, and when I come, I find the door open and I enter and steal. Even the watchman will not escape. You understand? He cannot say, mimi sikuwepo, nilikuwa nimeenda choo. No. You did something that contributed to this offense. Let's move on. So, if you give money or other benefits to the parent or a child with the intent of procuring that child, you get not less than 10 years imprisonment. Now, please, as God lifts you up, don't take advantage of people. I want to repeat that. As God lifts you up, don't take advantage of people. You now have a car, you have a good job, you've gone to the village, and you know this lady who is a widow. And now, because you know she's a widow, she doesn't have any means, and she has a beautiful daughter or son, you want to give her money so that you go with this boy or this girl for your own ends. That is wrong. The law will come for you. Are we together? Can you say, don't take advantage? Yeah. It is the Lord who gives and it is the Lord who takes. I know we only say that when people die, but it also applies to material things. If God has given you and you're taking advantage, God will take it away. Sawa sawa? Okay. Prostitution of persons with mental disabilities. Anybody who has mental problems does not have the capacity to do so many things. That person has no capacity to enter into a contract. You cannot say that a mad person sold you his land. He does not know what he's doing. So, if you take advantage of that and you subject such person to prostitution, my friend, the government is waiting for you with a gift of not less than 10 years. Okay? Are we together? There is this thing called incest, which is also an elephant in the room. Incest refers to sexual relations between relatives. Between relatives. If you've been through it, talk to the pastor. She'll deal with the spiritual aspect, because you'll find there are many spirits that need to be dealt with. but it is wrong in the eyes of the law. Now, incest, they talk of sexual relations between close relatives. You cannot have sex with your brother or your sister. Besides being wrong morally and spiritually, it is an offense in this country. Okay? You cannot have sex with your daughter, son, grandchild, grandparent, parent, half-brother or half-sister. Half-brother means you share the same father, maybe not the same mother. Okay? And an adoptive brother or sister. If you have been adopted, praise God, and you have a sister who is adopted, you cannot have a sexual relation. It is wrong. Okay? Uncle, aunt, and it does not matter if the parents have done a wedding or not. Okay? So here we are talking the law. So that you say, yeah, I know that man, he's staying with my mother, but they have not done a wedding. No. Anybody who has been involved with your parent is a parent to you. Tunaelewana? Now what happens is this. What do you do where somebody wants to take advantage? If you are not going to comply, I'm not going to pay you a school fees. Don't accept. God will open a door, okay? Talk to other people in authority. A way will be found out. Because this person is just out to ruin your life. You understand? And you know the problem is, in the event of a pregnancy, it becomes more complicated because where do you take the child? You've had a child with your uncle. Where do you take the child? But the law says more than that, is that if you are involved, both of you, remember, as long as you are above the age of criminal responsibility, which we said is 12 years, both of you go in for not less than 10 years. So that uncle, that favorite uncle, will go in for not less than 10 years. You'll also go in for not less than 10 years. Are we clear? Okay. Let's go on. As we move on, we are almost finishing, but as we move on, if you have a question, and I know you might be embarrassed to raise it, just write it down and you'll pass the paper to me. Okay? Sexual harassment. This is very, very common. Any person who, being in a position of authority or holding public office, who persistently makes any sexual advances or requests which he knows or has reasonable grounds to know are unwelcome, you get not less than 3 years. We have what we call sex pests at the workplace, in schools, in our homes. It is an offense. It may not be the person who has employed that maid. It may be you, the son in the home harassing the maid. Yes? The daughter in the home harassing the houseboy or the watchman, and even threatening that if you don't cooperate, I will tell mzee vile huwa unafanya. No, it is an offense. Are we together? Sexual harassment is so wide. And it is also good that you know what it is. Even making suggestive remarks, that is sexual harassment. You may not have touched, you may not have done anything, but you just made some vulgar remarks. The law will come for you. It is that wide. You understand? Yeah. Those of you who think you have an opinion on everything, yeah? You see a lady and you want to comment on how down here is. That's none of your business. You're a sex pest. Okay? So, let us renew our mind. Remember I said that we want our minds to be renewed. Sindio? What we have always known all along, that is the way, for example, if you're a man, that's the way you approach a girl. Or if you're a girl, that's the way you approach. Today we are renewing our minds, changing it to have a pure understanding of these issues. All right? I'll come back to one point, but before that, we have this deliberate transmission of HIV or any other life-threatening STD. People get HIV in various ways. But once you are there, of course, seek treatment and everything. Do not go around wanting to infect people deliberately. It is an offense, and if you are found guilty, it is not less than 15 years imprisonment. There's nothing heroic in transmitting diseases. And you'll be accountable before God as well. Remember that. Okay? Yes? Now, this one is something that I want you to pay attention to. Administering a substance with the intention of stupefying or overpowering a person so as to enable any person to engage in a sexual activity with that person. Simply what we are saying, you've organized a party, and out of your own schemes, you've spiked the drinks, okay? So people are coming to your place for a party, you've invited the youth, but you know that the juices and the sodas have something in them. And you have an intention. You want to take advantage of the girls, or you want to take advantage of the boys, because nowadays it cuts across. And what happens is, in such a case, first of all, it is you who claims you are drugged to prove that you are drugged. And sometimes that is the elephant in the room. Because sometimes the way you behave can make certain conclusions to be drawn. You understand? You visit a man at night, okay? You are a girl. You visit him at night, you spend there for the night. Then the next day you come that you are sexually harassed. My friend, when that case goes to court, you have to prove, and that can be difficult. So the best thing is to avoid. You understand? Simply avoid. Nobody has died because he didn't go for a party. You understand? Are we together? Yes. Let me repeat this. You have a very bright future out there. Please don't destroy it with a few minutes of pleasure. Okay? So, both you see, even if this man is jailed, and the jail is not less than 10 years imprisonment, the jail term, even if that man is jailed, the damage will also have been done to you. You understand? So be very careful. You know, don't want to move with the group, that because everybody is doing it, it is okay. You understand? I read a book called An Enemy of the People, a play by Henry Gibson. I don't know how many of you have read it. Oh, you did? Yeah. One of the things is, it says, the strongest man is he who stands alone. The strongest man is he who stands alone. Do not seek acceptance. Do not seek acceptance anyhow. You understand? God knows you by name. He doesn't know you as a group. He knows you by name and is processing your file. You understand? So, don't insist on going to places where you are not supposed to go. Let's move on. My final thoughts. Number one, protect the ones you love. Be the hero. Let these people feel safe when they are with you. If you want to be a knight in shining armor, protect the ones you love. It is really good. You understand? I've done it. So I'm not just telling you theories. Let it be a case that if Esther sees Brother Obura, she feels safe. If she's being threatened, she feels if she stands next to me, nothing will happen to her. Not only from those who are threatening her, but even from me. Are we together? You may be young, but you can do it. Be the hero. We are looking for the heroes. Okay? In your small way, protect the ones you love. And protecting means don't take advantage of them or their situation. Somebody asks you for fare, unamwambia sasa wewe unajua, I can give you fare, but hakuna chabure. No. It will put you into this number of years we have said. Number two, protect those whom you are, that's English is wrong, eh? Protect those who are vulnerable. Excuse my language there. It's not whom you are. Eh? Protect those who are vulnerable, like widows, children, maids, refugees, and all. These are people who come to you because they have a problem. Okay? They are not there for you to take advantage of their issue. That now, because a widow comes to you for money, you want something in return. No, that is wrong. It is wrong before God. It is wrong in the eyes of the law. Are we clear? Remember, under the law, consent must be free. Free consent is that which is not given because of certain circumstances. You understand? The law is very harsh. You've seen all those sentences. Not less than, not less than, not less than. Are you ready to sacrifice your 10 years to the government in a prison? Are you ready? Maybe you are. How many are ready? Yeah. So the law is very harsh. Be very careful. Lastly, pray for the fear of God to help you conquer fleshly desires. You know me, I'm one person who believes that when you fear God, you don't even need to fear the government. You understand? You know, if we have laws, for example, the laws say that you need to tuck in your uniform, okay? And put on your tie. Even if you hear that the principal is coming down, you are not worried, isn't it? Because you know you are smart, you are okay. But if your shirt is not tucked in and you hear footsteps, first you hide, only to realize it was the messenger. You understand? So, pray for the fear of God to help you conquer fleshly desires. You know, good things come to those who wait. Have you heard of that? Yes, it happens. Good things come to those who wait. So even in matters of the flesh, and I'm talking of the flesh because we are talking of the sexual offenses, a time will come for everything. And by waiting, you'll probably end up with the best thing. It doesn't matter. You understand? You see, I'll give you one example. When you talk of weddings, you have a lady who probably has gone to the university and is messing up all over, has kids all over, is messing up. But you have this lady who did not even go far and has the fear of God in her. Okay? And eventually she says she's getting married. On the day of the wedding, my friend, even if you're a professor, you will stand for her. You will be told, let's all stand for the bride, isn't it? Yeah. So despite the fact that she never went to school and everything, the fear of God in her makes even professors to stand up for her. Isn't that beautiful? That is what God does. The moment you honor God, people will stand for you. Don't want to conform. If you've been taking advantage of the maids in your family, stop it. If you've been taking advantage of the neighbor's daughter or son, stop it. Besides the law, God is there. Tumeelewana? So, that is it for my presentation. I now welcome questions, comments, and everything. Any questions? Of course, if you don't ask, it means I was very clear. Questions? Yes. He's asking whether you can get a copy. Yes. Abraham, you'll circulate it, eh? Yes. Somebody else? Questions? You have a question? Okay.
You didn't state the number of years for the penalty that one gets for administering a substance with intention, and also for child trafficking also.
Are you planning? That's on a light note. It's not less than 10 years. Not less than 10 years. Please, don't organize those parties with wicked intentions, even if it's your birthday. Yeah? No, it will put you in deep trouble. You understand? Yeah. We have something called the debt rape drug. You invite a lady out or you invite a man, and when they are not looking, you drop something to make them lose consciousness. My friend, you're digging your grave. If you do that, you're digging your grave. All right? Yeah. But be where you are supposed to be. Stop going out to anybody and anyhow. Okay? You heard Pastor Obanyi saying here, you can't go to a club and say you are going to preach because you have the Holy Spirit. No. If God does not send you, my friend, you'll come back wounded. You know, the devil also fights. You understand? Yeah. Any other question? Yes. too shy to ask, just pass me a piece of paper.
So I saw in your slide there's a place you mentioned child's age. I don't know if it is in the law it is under 12, but at the same time you're saying that the government says the age where you still an infant is still under 18. So at what point?
Let's go back to that slide, Abraham. Defilement. He's asking, there's a place where I said a child below this age, and then I said the age of criminal responsibility is 12. Defilement, Abraham. There. Let me explain this. When I say they are child aged 11 years or less, we are not talking of the person committing the offense. We are talking of anybody who commits an offense on a child of that age. Is that clear? Umejifanya wewe ni ndume, umekuja half-term, ukashika mtoto wa miaka 11 or less. My friend, the government is taking you in for life. You go in for life imprisonment. So those ages refers to the child that you have been involved with. Between 12 and 15 years, you go in for 20 years. And it's not a defense to say that the child accepted. Ati no, the girl accepted, sikumshika kwa lazima. There's nothing like that. That child cannot give any consent that the law recognizes. Okay? 16 and 18 years, so that is the difference. We are talking of the child who has been defiled, not the one who has committed an offense. Okay? Sawa. The other thing also I want to add to that is that, please, let us know one thing. Sexual offenses leave a very deep wound in our lives. It's not just about the physical wounds. The emotional wounds are too strong. Do not be the source of those wounds. Anytime somebody cries before God, God hears. Sawa sawa? Yes. Any other question? I think we are almost done. You have a question? Yes.
I haven't heard you speak about if homosexuality is a crime in Kenya.
Homosexuality is a crime in Kenya. The only difference, and why I didn't talk about it, is because we are dealing with the Sexual Offences Act. Homosexuality is an offense under the Penal Code. And that's why I said at the beginning that there are other provisions of law, like the Children's Act. We have the Penal Code, which also prescribe other offenses. My brief today was to restrict myself to the Sexual Offences Act. But now that he's talking about it, homosexuality is an offense. It doesn't matter what kind of justification you hear out there. There's a real concerted effort to justify homosexuality. But it is a sin, number one, and it is an offense. You know, not all sins are offenses, and not all offenses are sins. But it is an offense. If you are arrested, the law will come for you. Okay? So, if you are in a boarding school, please say no. This business of you are the one who is following the other boys or the other girls, it is wrong. It is a sin before God. But even from the legal standpoint, I think just the other day we were reading of a boy in Kitui County who was charged with homosexuality, a secondary school boy, you know? And remember, the fact that everybody is doing it doesn't make it right. You understand? If you go to a country where everybody kills their mother, will you kill your mother so that you fit in? Come on, give me an answer. You will not. So, know that the law in Kenya is clear. It doesn't matter what the foreigners say. It doesn't matter how colorful they make it look. In fact, I was just reading yesterday that there is a Queen James Bible. Queen James. The gays have started their own Bible, and they are calling it Queen James. And what they have done is they have eliminated all verses that talk against homosexuality, twisted them, you know, to look spiritual. I can just read for you a scripture. You know, we want you to be knowledgeable. You understand? Let no one take advantage of you because you are young. Even if you are young, you have the benefit of knowledge. And we thank God for the church. You know, for the church to have allowed me to come and talk on such a topic, where we are talking of such terms as penetration, and I'm looking at you in the eye, it is because the church cares for you. You understand? We are being real that we are still on earth. So there are standards we must maintain. You get it? So this was in the so-called Queen James Bible. They've taken Romans 1:27. Romans 1:27 says, and likewise also the men leaving the natural use of the woman burned in their lust one toward another, men with men working that which is unseemly and receiving in themselves. I mean, it's clear what the Bible is against. Now they've taken that and rewritten it this way. Men with men working that which is pagan and unseemly. For this cause, God gave the idolaters up unto vile affections, receiving in themselves that recompense of their error which was meet. Kizungu mingi na ujinga. Trying to blind your eyes. The good Lord was very clear. The word of God is very clear that homosexuality is a sin. You understand? And if you are going through it, just sneak one day, talk to the pastor. One thing I can assure you, because I know sometimes that's difficult, she keeps a lot of things confidential. Kweli mama? Yeah. There's a lot she knows that if she stood here and said, we would all run away. You understand? So just take your time, go and talk to her. She will not condemn you, but she will help you because you need help. God does not change his standard because of the time. You hear people say, wakati wetu, sisi hakuna cha wakati wetu with God. If God says no, it is no. After all, isn't he the same yesterday, today, and forever? So he doesn't change. So don't tell us about, in this age, things are different. With God, nothing is different. His word is still the same. Tumeelewana? Yeah, so I pray that if you are involved, don't give up. Just go, have a word with mama. Bring those arguments, don't worry. She's quite learned. Maybe that's one thing you people don't know. So bring those arguments and you'll get direction. And you'll come out of there and none of us will know. That's the beauty of it. You understand? The confidentiality will be there. Sawa. Any last question? Yes. Is there any other question other than him? Him? Okay.
Okay, so in the United States, there are a lot of false sexual accusations. So what is the penalty if you are found guilty that you have accused somebody falsely of a sexual accusation? And also, in the case that you cannot prove that somebody has sexually assaulted you, and that person decides to sue you for false sexual accusation, will the court consider it?
There used to be an express provision in the Sexual Offences Act that had a penal consequence. I think it was 7 years for if you accuse somebody wrongly, but it was repealed, it was removed, because it was keeping in many people from not going to court. But the present position is that if you give a wrong report to the police, then you can be charged with giving a false report to the police. That will push you down another 3 years. However, one thing that is important is avoid circumstances that can lead to such accusations being made. You understand? Somebody can want to trap you, and that happens. So avoid a scenario where you are in private, alone, hidden. Because once the word comes out, anything can happen. And this, I have a case in point without naming names. A man who a lady was following. So one morning, here in town, the lady goes, the man is in the office at around 7 in the morning, And then the lady tries to make a move, and the man says, please, I don't want that prostitution behavior. So the lady says, what did you call me? She tears the blouse, tears the skirt, and screams. Says the man was attempting to rape her. And you've seen the sentence here, okay? So what happens? When everybody comes, obviously, looking at the lady, I mean, who would believe that she tried to do that? The man was arrested, taken to the police. So he calls me and tells me, look, go to my office, there's a wall clock. That wall clock has a camera. So, get the recording, whatever, play it and see what happened. You understand? So I watch, and the lady didn't even come near the man. The lady was like here, doing all her tantrums. The man was there was no physical contact. So I go to the OCPD. I try to explain to him, he's so arrogant. He says, no, you'll tell that to the court. So I went to the ODPP, and I showed the guy the recording. So they were summoned, and the thing was played. And now the lady couldn't look at us, you know. That time she was crying and we were looking for sympathy all over. You see? Now she's being asked, why did you give a false report to the police? So she was charged with giving a false report. You understand? So avoid making false reports, but more importantly, be very careful where you go. You understand? Don't just invite a lady home when you are alone, because whatever happens or whatever does not happen might go against you. For the men, are we clear? Or even for the ladies. Sawa sawa. All those who have questions come here so that we move faster. I think the next person was him. Please, those who had raised their hands, kujeni mketi hapa. Kama mji hapa sitawapa nafasi. Your hand was up. Come here. I can't hear you. Are you answered?
So my question was, what the difference between being a minor and having mind of a minor? This is because last week I saw an article where a man was charged with defilement, but later the judgment, according to the judgment, it was said that he had a mind of a minor. So what's that, or what does it mean?
You see, he's asking the difference between being a minor and having the mind of a minor. There are certain people who have mental issues that their thinking capacity is that of a child. You understand? It's normally, it happens when somebody has a mental condition, so that he's not able to appreciate what happens. So the law looks wholesome into the accused person. Do you have the capacity? Do you have the ability to tell what is right and wrong? And that even happens even when the witness is a child. The fact that I said people below the age of 12 cannot be liable doesn't mean that a child, the age of 9, cannot give evidence. He can give evidence either directly or through what we call an intermediary. If he has a mother, the mother can come and give evidence on behalf of the child. But the test that the court must run, first of all, is he able to understand the consequences of telling a lie? You understand? So the court looks at your mind, and that's why when you go wider, even in murder cases, the first thing they'll do is to take you for a mental assessment, to assess whether you are able. And it is a medical condition. It is not something that you can fake. That just because you've been arrested, now you sit there laughing alone the whole day, so that they say that you're mad. No, it doesn't work like that. You'll even be kept for 2 weeks to see whether you'll be laughing for 2 weeks. Are we together? So you can't get away by just faking. Yes, Nestor? Those who have questions, please come here. So many hands.
My question was more or less just like he has asked. I wanted to know that there are cases which they happen, people have got mental problems, sometimes they are okay. Are there any measures of charges taken against them?
That's a good question. When it comes to mental health, we have something that we call a lucid interval. Lucid means clear. There are people who have mental issues 24/7. But there are people whose mental issues are triggered by certain things. There are times when you find them and they are okay. You can even have a very good discussion with them. But when that thing is triggered, suddenly you can't talk to them. So that period when they are normal is called a lucid interval. Any offense committed during such a time, the person becomes liable. You understand? Sometimes people take advantage. When I was in high school, A level, that is in the 80s, when all of you had been born, we had this boy who had an attack of spirits. You know, you're in class and suddenly he's talking to strangers whom you can't see. And he begins to fight with them, you know, and he runs. And he was such a tiny boy, but he could knock down 10 heavily built boys, you know, at such a moment. Now, he started taking advantage because now the teachers feared him. So, the deputy would tell us, next week is the Kisumu ASK show, and none of you boys is allowed to go to attend the show. So this boy comes and tells us, you know, this deputy fears me. Let me go to him. So he goes, and when he's seen, the deputy hopes that things are not bad. So he tells the deputy, by the way, there's a show I want to go for, niandikie leave sheet. And it is written very fast and he is given. But he's not sick, you understand? So the law will go into whether, when that happened, were you having a lucid interval or were you down? Sometimes there are things people do which cannot go unscathed. For example, I take a panga from my house, okay? I have a problem with my brother here, okay? Which you all know. I come to church, I look for him, and I cut him with a panga. And then I say that I had a mental issue. Was it how was that mental issue? That I could not be cutting everybody. I had to look for the person I have a problem with. Is that a mental issue really? I was in charge of my faculties. I knew what I was doing. You understand? And there are two things the law also looks at. One is that the intention of the parties. The law looks at the intention. And the law looks at the act, whether it is a guilty act. If I invite you for tea to my house, and that's why we were talking of the stupefying thing. I invite you to my tea, for tea, we agree that you'll come at 4. And you come, you find I've prepared for you tea, and you take it, and you find it has poison. Did I plan to put poison? Come on, I can't hear you. Yes, I knew you were coming. I knew what time you were coming. I knew that you were coming for tea. So I had the time and opportunity to prepare the mischief that I intended. You understand? It is different if you are looking for a house, you knock a door and say, Brother Joel, this is your house. Then I tell you, please come for tea. I didn't know that you were coming. You understand? So the law looks at the intention. What was your intention when you're inviting people for that birthday party, for the sleepover? You understand? Yeah. Nesta, is that answered? Is it answered? Okay, come.
If two minors engaged in any sexual activities, will they,
Yes, I know. You know. She's asking a very valid question. Two minors, people below the age of 18, engaged in any sexual activity, will they be arrested, charged, jailed? Yes. As long as you're above the age of criminal responsibility. If the law says do not engage in a sexual activity with a child, so the fact that you're a child and you're doing it, both of you will go in. We have Bostol institutions, which are like children prisons. There's one at Shimolatewa. There's an approved school, I think, at Shanzu. Yeah. So the government is very prepared for you. With enough accommodation, you cannot escape. Sawa sawa. So I think we are done. No more questions. So I just want to tell you this. When you see the church opening the door for you to learn some of these things that people are embarrassed to talk about, it is because they have good plans for you. You understand? They have good intentions for you. So don't think that by doing some of these things, you are hurting the church. The law is there. It will come for you. And we don't want any of you to be in conflict with the law. It's a very painful process. Very, very painful. You understand? I didn't tell you how we got the young Form 2 girl out. She has been jailed for 20 years. The parent knows my daughter is in school. And then you go and find your daughter is now in prison for 20 years. We had to go out of our way to talk. We did an appeal, but there was no ground for appeal. Because the law says the moment you say yes, 20 years. You understand? But God touched the judge. He was an old man, he's now deceased. He said, okay, we are not going to reduce even 1 day, but we are going to make it what we call a suspended sentence. What that means is you go home, but if you commit any offense, you're brought back to finish your 20 years. You understand? You may not be that lucky. It is very rare. So the best thing is simply avoid. You understand? You know, there are things which you don't wait to see. If you're told there is a cobra here, don't want to come and see how it looks like. Yeah? If you must see, stand there. You understand? Because you see, the moment it is quietly coiled here, it can also spit on you. And if that spittle enters your eyes, you're blind. You understand? So the best thing for some things is you avoid. You know, you will ask yourself, why does the Bible say flee youthful lusts? Flee youthful lusts. It doesn't say lay hands. It doesn't say fast. It doesn't say do what? Pray. It doesn't say go for acacia. You understand? It doesn't say apply anointing oil. What does it say? Flee. So the only medicine against youthful lusts is your legs. You understand? Flee. Don't be so confident. When you see a situation that puts you under that, then you say, me I have fasted. Shetani aniwezi. My friends. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, Abraham, thank you very much.
Let's give Senior Council another round of applause. Thank you so much. And I would like to call Emmanuel to give a vote of thanks on behalf of all of us. Appreciated so much on behalf of the Youth Committee. We are grateful. Of course, your juice is waiting over there. Emmanuel.
Yeah, let's give him another round of applause. So first, I would like to thank the church leadership led by Pastor Gaciku Nzinga for this opportunity to learn so much on the Sexual Offences Act. I can say personally from my own experience growing up in this church, even from when I was young, there were always so many opportunities to have such talks even after the youth services, and it really fills me with joy that such opportunities still continue to be available to such youth. So please let's give a round of applause for the church leadership. And also I'd like to thank Senior Council Obura. I think he's known me my whole life, and probably most of you. I can say from my own personal experience of interacting with him that he always says things as they are, and today he's given us a talk on his own area of expertise. So those who are choosing a career choice and you want to get into law, you can talk to him after the after the meeting. And also I'd like to thank the youth committee led by Kolo for this opportunity and for always taking each opportunity available to have such talks continually. And I'd also like to thank you for your zeal in such talks, that you're always excited to be with the youth and to be around the youth. So thank you, Kolo. Let's give him a round of applause. So I think that's it from my end.
Let's clap for Manu. Wow, that was big up. So touched. I think, Mom, just to pray for us, because we've been in